Let's talk a bit about resilience and how important it is to build a strong mindset where you are resilient and allows you to endure a lot of the hardships that you go through on a day-to-day basis, or if you're a business owner, on a long-term basis, in all honesty. So, hey guys, I hope everyone's doing well. Temperature is getting colder nowadays, so I figured rather than doing this video in my car as usual, I do it in my flat so that I can get nice and toasty and warm. So the reason why I wanted to jump on this video is to talk about resilience and how important it actually is to become resilient in your life, to have general resilience with your mindset and the way that you think, right, and conduct yourself in a sense, because I think mental health is a very key subject, and it's great that more people talk more about mental health, so it's gaining a lot more awareness, but even within this field of study, I think there's a lot that we can go into, a lot of different subjects, and I'm all about self-awareness, so this is stuff that I'm very interested in learning about and talking about, because it's really helped me a lot throughout my journey as a property investor to be more self-aware, being more conscious of my mind, my emotions, and the topic of resilience is one of those that we don't really talk about, I don't think, or enough anyway, that I think that there's enough noise out there. But it's very important of a subject because, when in business or through day-to-day life, there's a lot of things, a lot of challenges that can overcome and knock you back. And if you're not resilient, then you can quite easily be affected by that, and I just want to share some tips that's helped me becoming more resilient in that sense, so that I'm not letting my emotions drive me or make the decisions for me. So, which brings us nicely to the first tip about this, is that to build resilience, you have to learn how to detach your emotions from situations, right? And I think as emotional beings that humans are, we might have a lot of empathy, we have a lot of feelings, thoughts, there's also a lot of social kind of contracts that we abide by on a day-to-day basis. That's naturally ingrained in us because we are social animals. So when it comes to decisions, when it comes to the way I think, the way that we speak, there's an element of emotion in there. But I think it's really important to make a distinction between what emotions are needed depending on the situations. And sometimes the negative emotions aren't necessarily the best kind of emotions to have or to show or to be reflected within certain situations, right? And I think this is something that stoicism, right, that also teaches us a lot in terms of how to control your emotions during stressful situations, as an example. So, if something goes wrong, so for example, if something goes wrong in life, there's lots of feelings that we could be feeling. Could be feeling, angry. We could be feeling anxious. Could be feeling disappointed. And a lot of these feelings, people allow to dictate, what they say next, or make decisions, right, based on these feelings, rather than the facts of the situations. And in reality, if you think about it using logic, there's a lot of situations where it might not be such a big issue, but you turn it into a big issue just because you are making the decisions, or you're allowing yourself to think and feel uncontrolled in that sense, which then causes problems. You might have problems with relationships, right? You might have said something or say something that later on regret when you calm down, but during the moment, during the heated arguments, you can't hold yourself from doing that, right? So by learning resilience, which is having the mindset and the self-awareness to detach your emotions from the situation, you can be more controlled of your own feelings. And I think there's a difference between controlling your feelings and not feeling at all, right? I think when people think about talking about controlling your feelings or managing your emotions, I think the people that might see that as a negative, right? They might see that as cold or distant or unnatural. Like if you have to literally take control of your feelings and not feel that way, then they might say that that's not how being a person should be like. But I think there are differences and there are different nuances in terms of how you control your feelings. So for example, if I was put in a situation, so just to use a live example for myself, is that recently I've done a renovation and we're putting finishing touches, we're putting the TV on the wall, right? And upon turning on the TV, I found that it's been dropped, right? There's cracks all over the screen, so it's broken basically. And for me, there's a whole lot of feelings that comes from me, like not least like needing to figure out who's responsible or what can I do next with the situation. But I believe I handled the situation quite in a mature manner, because I didn't kick off, I didn't start blaming people, I didn't start screaming, shouting, even though you can still feel those emotions. I mean, there was definitely frustration there, but I've learned how not to take those frustration out on people that it's not their fault, or it's not fair to unload my frustration onto someone else. So that is me detaching my emotions or frustrations from the fact of the situation, that the TV's broken, someone's probably dropped it, we don't know who it is, probably the delivery driver, right? And rather than focusing on that part, I decided to focus with intention on the part of what can we do to fix this, right? And those decisions are what makes the difference between your own happiness, right? Your own mindset and well-being, right? Because by allowing myself to not get kind of pulled into the anger or the frustration, for me, just see it as what it is, and then to find a solution, right? Move on and find a solution, which got a solution we can get exchanged through the supplier, which is no issues. Might have been an issue if it had said no, but you don't know until you get there, right? So it's very important to not jump to situations without thinking about it first, and that is a key point that I want to highlight when it comes to detaching yourself, detaching your emotions from situations, right? That's a very key point I want to get in there. Secondly is to take action, right? So what links onto this, what links onto the whole detach your emotions in this situation, was that taking the action revealed the path towards the success, or towards the goal, or towards the outcome that you want from this situation, right? Because nothing happens without you not taking action, if that makes sense. And human beings are very smart, and because sometimes they're too smart for their own good, they think of scenarios that doesn't happen or that would never happen, and they might think themselves into an outcome that's never happened yet, or unless you take action, you don't know, right? But we're good imagination, we've got good imagination basically, so we can sometimes be too stuck in our ways to think of the worst case scenario as an example, or the world's ending, or negativity, blah de blah, right? Because again, as people, we are tuned into negativity, and that negativity can sometimes be very harmful and destroy our own self-confidence, our own self-worth. And if we don't have that resilience to back that up with action, then it could be quite hard, right? You could be stuck in a position thinking yourself to death, literally, like thinking yourself and putting your head in the sand if you don't take action, which is what a lot of people do when bad stuff happens and you can see it. Oh, it's not a good situation, as in, let's say you got a property deal going south, right? Rather than taking action to confront those fears that you may have or concerns you may have with another party, right? Maybe you avoid conflict, maybe you're a conflict avoider type, right? You put your head in the sand, and the longer that you do that for, the more anxiety you're going to get, the more overthinking you're going to get, and the worse off your mental health is going to be as well if that happens. So one way to build up your resilience is to take action, right? And through taking action, you gain the experience, whether the outcome is positive or negative or neutral. At least you're taking a step towards building up that resilience and going towards that outcome that you need, right? And finally, the next tip that I'll give, which again latches on to taking action, is also being adaptable to situations, right? Being adaptable, being fluid, being flexible. Obviously, when you're doing stuff like property investing, there's always plans that you make, right? We all make plans. We're going to take this house, do renovation, it's going to rent out for X amount, and you're going to be happy days, right? A lot of the times it doesn't happen to plan, and I would say from experience, it never happens to plan, right? Your end goal, your ending might be somewhere close to what your plan is, but through the journey, you're going to have to make lots of decisions to adapt to situations, to be flexible. Flexible thinking is very important. To be flexible, and then to also be able to change when needs to. So don't be stuck with the one plan, right? Again, this builds on experience and this builds on resilience, because if you know that plan A doesn't work, right, and you've got a plan B, then really there's nothing to worry about besides a bit of annoyance that you have to go into your plan B, which is something that comes part and parcel with not just investing, but also again with life in general. You've got family, you've got friends, you've got social life, you've got acquaintances, you've got people that act unpredictably. Sometimes you just don't know what's going to be thrown your way, and if you're not resilient about that, then you could be led by emotions, and then again goes back to the first things, when you're not detaching your emotions from the situations, it could end up being a negative, essentially. And actually, I'll give you a final one that I would love to share as well with resilience. Is the number one way to build it, in my opinion, is to lean on positivity and express gratitude, right? And as it says on the tin, if you're positive, if you lean on positivity, if you look on, the glass is half full rather than half empty, or even better yet, if the glass is always full, right? Even in shitty situations, and also practicing gratitude, being grateful for what you have. It's really hard to not be resilient in the face of stuff, things that happen, because at the end of the day, look at your position, right? Look at where you are. This is actually a good problem to have, right? Because there's other people in other parts of the world where they can't, your problems is something that they dream of having, right? Because they might be even worse off, right? They might be, starving. They might not have a house, a roof over their heads. They might have so many issues, poverty. So if you're actually watching this video, you've got the internet, right? You're probably living in the place. You've probably got food in your fridge. What is there not to be grateful for? And, the positivity of your situation is actually a lot better than what other people experience in other parts of the world. So for me, even when bad things happen, I can take a breather. Obviously, if you need a breather, take a breather, but have a reflection on the positive side of things. Lean on the positivity of your situation, and it's never end of the world, right? Unless it's ending, but it's never end of the world, and there's always a solution to problems, or maybe that problem, even if you can't solve it, maybe there's another path towards something else. Maybe you do a pivot, maybe you adapt to the situation and move somewhere else. So always have gratitude, always be positive, right? Even times when you obviously don't feel like it, don't force yourself, but train your mind to lean on positivity, right? And I think that's what's really helped me through these years, through learning more about self-awareness and building that resilience for myself, and understanding that whatever situation you're in, that you are in control of it, and for one thing or another, you put yourself in that situation as well. So there's only one person to point the finger at if things do go tits up. But that's me for today. What do you guys think about this topic? Do you agree with my points? Do you have any other further thoughts? If you do, leave me a message in the comments. Like this video, share this video for anyone that's interested. Subscribe to the channel if you're on YouTube. And yeah, let me know your thoughts. Always keen to hear from you guys, and I will see you guys again soon.